In this video, we're taking a look at 3 simple DIY projects that were recently featured in the Osborne Builder Studio. If you're interested in a more in-depth tutorial on each of these projects, be sure to check out the links below. For this build, we're using Osborne's 5/4 project lumber and soft maple since we will be painting this table. I'll start by cutting 4 boards to a rough length of 48 inches using my miter saw. The overall dimensions for this table will be 48 by 12 by 32 inches. Each 5/4 board is 6 inches wide, so I'll glue up 2 boards for the top and bottom panels. If you're interested in a more in-depth tutorial on how to mill and glue up 5/4 lumber, be sure to check out the video above. Once the panels are dry, I'll bring them down to their final thickness of 1 inch using my benchtop planer. Once our lumber is milled, I'll cut them to their final length and add a roundover on the top edges to soften the overall look. After a quick sanding, we can now find the desired locations for our table legs. I chose to install my table legs 5 inches from the outside edge of each panel. Depending on the length of your table, you may want to adjust these dimensions slightly, however the installation process will remain the same. Next, I'll make a center mark on each panel that will help me measure the proper location for our wood screws. These screws will install directly through the panels into the square blocks of the table leg, so make sure to take into account the size of your table leg when creating these marks. For the tabletop, I'm using a 2-step bit to create a larger hole that I can fill with a wood plug before finishing. Most table legs have a center mark that is created from the lathe that helps with alignment during these installation methods. I'll install these center screws first, then install the additional screws in the locations we drilled earlier. Next, I'll cut 4 pieces to 5 inches in length, giving me a square furniture foot for the bottom side of my table. To attach these feet, I'm pre-drilling 4 holes on each block using a 2-step drill bit. This will allow me to countersink the wood screws and avoid scratching the floor when moving the table. Now that our feet are installed, we can attach the tabletop using the pre-drilled screw locations. Once again, I'll install the center screw first, lining up on the center mark of the table leg. Before finishing this table, I'll insert the wood plugs using some wood glue, which will hide these screw locations on the tabletop. To finish this project, I'll start by adding a coat of white paint to the entire table for a base coat. Once the paint is dry, I'll scuff the corners using some sandpaper and apply a decorative glaze to the entire assembly. Once the glaze is applied, we can let it dry and take a closer look at our finished table. For this project, we're using Osborne's 5/4 project lumber in pine, so we'll need to plane it down to its final thickness to get started. I'll plane the entire board down to 1 inch thick using my benchtop planer to get a smooth surface on both sides. Next, I'll cut 2 pieces to 8 inches that will be used as the sides for the stand. The overall width of this stand will be 12 inches with 10 inches of usable storage space in the middle for metals. I'll cut the middle board to 10 inches long and the back board to 12 inches since the sides are 1 inch thick each. Now that everything is cut to length, I can plane the back piece down to 1/2 inch to give it a thinner profile. Next, I can start marking the angles on the sides, which will help hold the metals in the correct position. These will be cut at a 14-degree angle, however they may need to be adjusted depending on the type of wood and the measurements that you use. I recommend using an angle gauge and trying out a few test pieces to make sure the metals sit in the right position without tipping forward. Next, I'll cut off 2 3/16 off the end of each side to allow for the middle board and the molding piece that we will add to the end later. Now that our side pieces are ready, I'll get a rough idea of how the final assembly will look and begin working on the middle piece that will hold all of the metal and coins. Both edges of this piece will be cut at the same 14-degree angle with 5 slots for storage. I'll space each slot at 1 inch apart and cut those channels using my table saw. Here my blade is set at the 14-degree angle with a cutting depth of 1/4 inch. This is a thin curved saw blade, so I can make 2 passes for each channel for a total width of 3/16 of an inch. The final cut for the middle board is to match the 14-degree angle on both edges. This will allow it to sit flush against the back piece while holding the correct angle. To assemble everything, I'm going to do it in 2 steps, starting with the sides and middle piece. To connect these parts, I'm going to use some wooden dowels and a doweling jig, so I'll make some marks on each board to make sure everything lines up properly. Since these parts sit at a unique angle, it's important to make sure that the holes line up for proper alignment, so double check these based on your project dimensions. Next, we can add a little bit of wood glue to the pre-drilled holes and insert the wooden dowels. Once all of the parts are connected, you can secure it with a clamp while the wood glue dries. While that's drying, we can begin working on the details of our back piece, which will feature an embossed onlay from Osborne, part 8911520. First, I'll create a center mark on the board to help with alignment and ensure the onlay is in the proper location. I'll be rounding the top corners of this back piece, so I want to make sure I don't cut into where the inlay will sit. To apply the onlay, add some wood glue to the back side and center it in the middle of the board. Once the onlay is in the correct location, you can tack it in place using a small pin nailer and wait for it to dry. Next, I'll add some wood glue to the stand and position it on the back panel. I chose to use a pneumatic stapler to secure these halves together, however you can use screws or a wooden dowel for this process. The final step for assembly is to add the embossed molding on the front edge. For this, we're using the embossed leaf molding part 891440. This is a 1-inch wide molding which will fit perfect with the 1-inch thick lumber that we used for the project. I cut this to 10 inches to match the middle piece and used some wood glue and a pin nailer to attach it to the front edge. We offer many other types of molding that would be great for this application, so make sure to check out the full collection at the link below. To get started with this project, we first need to mill down our 5/4 lumber to the proper width and length for our project. We chose to go with red oak for our display case, but you can choose from a wide number of wood species on our website with this 5/4 lumber. I'm leaving these cuts about an inch oversized so that I can come back later and get a cut to the exact dimension of my case. Next, I'll bring the thickness of the boards down to 3/4 of an inch using my benchtop planer. We're going to be adding a 1-inch wide face frame to the front, but to keep the weight of the case down, we can use 3/4 inch material for the rest of the assembly. Once our lumber is milled down to its final thickness, we can rip it to its final width of 3.5 inches. Finally, we can cut the boards down to their final length. The bottom board will be the longest board at 25 inches, and the two side boards will meet at a 45 degree and be 18 inches long each. Next, I'm going to cut in the channels that the acrylic and the case back will sit into. I'm making these channels 1/4 inch deep and 1/4 inch wide to keep things simple. You can cut these on the table saw, and these will be cut on the very outside of the boards on one side. Depending on your table saw blade, you may need to adjust the fence for multiple passes to cut these channels completely. The most difficult part of this build is cutting the 22.5 degree angles on the bottom corners. To make this easier, we'll create a simple jig for our table saw fence that will allow us to cut the boards vertically instead of horizontally. This will allow us to cut a steeper angle while keeping our hands a safe distance from the saw blade. Next, we can use a digital angle gauge to get the correct 22.5 degree angle on our saw blade, and then run our first board through, making sure it sits flush with the bottom of my table saw. It's very easy to get confused on these cuts with the orientation of the boards, so make sure you keep in mind and lay everything out before making your cuts for a successful project. The top angles will be 45 degrees, making a perfect 90 degree angle at the top of the case. We can cut these using a miter saw and then glue everything up using wood glue and a strap clamp. While our case is drying, we can mill down the material for our face frame. For this, we're going to be creating a 1-inch face frame with the edge grain showing on the front of the case. This means whatever thickness you plane the lumber to will be the width of the face frame on the front of the case. This will make sure that the wood grain on the top side of the case runs in the same direction as the boards that we glued up. Next, we can cut the face frame boards to their final length, which is the same exact measurements as our main case material. It's important to make sure that these cuts are the exact same as the cuts we made previously to make sure there are no awkward seams in our final assembly. Once our lumber is milled down, we can cut these same angles on the face frame material and move on to gluing this up as well. Once everything is dry, we can give everything a light sanding to get rid of any unwanted glue squeeze out. This won't be the final sanding for this project, so no need to make everything perfect just yet. The next step for this project is to add the American flag inlays to the top sides of our case. For this process, we'll use our router table as always to route a channel in the desired locations for these inlays. This is going to be a 1/32 of an inch deep channel, but the width will depend on which inlay you've selected. If you're interested in a more in-depth tutorial about how to install decorative wooden inlays from Osborne, you can reference this video above. It's important to avoid any excess glue squeeze out when installing these inlays, as they can only be lightly sanded before finishing. Once our inlays are installed, we can use a straight edge and some clamps to keep some pressure on them while they dry. For this project, we chose acrylic for our front glass, which we sourced from our local hardware store. If you don't have a way to cut acrylic or glass yourself for your project, you can reach out to a glass shop, which can usually cut it for you for a small fee. Once we verified that the acrylic fits in the channels that we created earlier, we can use a light amount of wood glue to glue the face frame onto the front side of the case. It's very important to avoid excess glue squeeze out, as it can stain the acrylic on your case. Once our face frame is centered, we can attach some clamps and allow it to dry. Now that our case is finished, we can install the turn buttons on the back side of the display that will hold our case back in place. Finally, we can insert our flag and case back and take a closer look at our finished project.